Welcome, troops, to episode four. I need to think of these names a week in advance, but that's too much brain power this week. This week has been a fucking hellish week for me. But we are here, we are talking. Let's get the Anvil Power Hour on the go. So, first up, as always, Chris, how's your week been? Talk me through it. What's been happening? You've
It's
had
been
an
a good
upset.
week. I know. My gym was shut Monday, Tuesday, and it really threw me. It really threw my routine. I hate that. I hate it. I hate going elsewhere.
Yeah,
There's only
creature
three
of
places.
habit.
There's only three places I'll train: my own gym, ESC, and hostile. If I need to break those three, pisses me off, and that happened this week.
Yeah, I get that. There's nothing worse sometimes than when you've got something planned
I
because
know.
and from a coaching perspective, this is a pain in the arse for coaches as well because we plan things in programming
Hmm.
and and you have to adapt.
Yeah.
Now, but you've been working with me long enough that you know the adaptation drills quite well. So you swap all your sort of like log movements over the bar and the
Yeah.
job's a good one.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
but like
Exactly right.
always a way of getting around it. So any PBs, big wins this week for yourself?
Eh, So on last week's one, I mentioned about I overloaded the bar for squats.
Yeah.
Same thing happened again on Tuesday.
Okay, right. This is becoming a fucking habit.
I know, but my excuse this week was I was in a different gym and I misread the plates.
Okay, right.
But
That's a
yeah,
shite
squat.
excuse, but we'll have
But we'll take the win. Squats are going really well just now.
it. Yeah, and you're having trouser issues now.
I am.
Even
We're
though even
getting.
though you continue to lose weight, because you're well into the 93s now,
Yeah.
which is good. So we're well on the track to that sort of target weight of under 90.
Hmm.
Taking it nice and slow. We're looking for half a kilo weight loss a week. Nothing graphic or aggressive in this procedure. But you've also gaining size and mass on legs and glutes as well. So
It's
winner.
really strange. Like I can feel like my work trousers are loose round my waist, but they're getting tight everywhere else. And same with my shirts as well. Shirts are getting tight around like my traps and my upper back, but loose around the middle. So I'm taking the wins there for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, definitely winners and stuff like that. So I, however, have had what I could only describe as a fucking shit week, shall we say.
Yeah, yours looks like it's
So
been a right clusterfuck.
yeah, it has been saving grace. The car went in, it
Hmm.
had a wee fix. Basically, the problem was that there's the metal bent out shape, so it got sorted, and that's car running fine again, which is good. It's definitely had a couple of runs this week because, as most of the people who watch this probably know, if you've been on my social media, is I've been quiet for up till today because my dad ended up in hospital. Now was out this morning. Everything's all good. He's fine.
Good,
Um, he has lost a little bit of peripheral vision in his left eye, and he's still got a bit of brain fog. But other than that, he seems okay. Like he hasn't lost any sort of motor, s- motor skills on his left hand side, which is usually the concern when you have a stroke, which is what he had. So let's just say, like I had been all over the shop, and my first training session, I think, was Friday morning while I was waiting for my little sister to arrive from America. She lives out there, and she's a doctor out there, so she's incredibly much smarter than I am. So she came over just to bully the British doctors about like she normally does. And then I got a training session in this morning, so I only got two in this week. But to be honest, I couldn't give a fuck. Like, and I tell this to anyone who deals with a situation like I've had this week, just fuck it off. Because you know, your families might not be around forever, but you're fucking, they'll make a bigger importance. And I
yeah.
completely fucked that. I completely fucked that altogether. But we're not going to fucking remove it because it's there. So your family's more important than anything else. Make sure you prioritize them and make sure you prioritize your health and well-being. If there's anything that we've been learned from this situation is taking care of yourself is a must, and you must always put yourself first. So we will get into our first topic of the day. Let's talk strongman. Okay, right, back again. So today's conversation for the strongman section is how do we go about our first competition? So, Chris, talk through how you went about your first competition, because we both have probably vastly different experiences, and then there's the way we probably should have done
Yeah.
it.
So, my first competition, I had just come off the back of competing in powerlifting. And if any powerlifters are listening, no disrespect, I fucking hated it. All right.
It's shite.
It was dreadful. Three lifts, boring. I was training out of Exercise for Less. Don't know if you remember those branch of gyms. Yep, with sorry, not with, but Callum McCauley. He's been through a Anvil gym with me a few
Yes.
times. He was training out of there with a guy called Laurie Marshall. Got chatting to them. They were going down to do a strongman competition in Liverpool. Now they said they had a beginners category. Had never done a competition before. They sent me the event through. Had a look at it. Yep, that's fine. Got signed up. We'll go down. 2 weeks prior to the comp, those two arseholes pulled it.
And then you had to do, did you go and do the comp?
I did. I went and done the
Yeah.
comp.
So at
Aye,
least
I
you stuck
did.
to your guns.
I know that's true. Yeah, no, still went and done it. Training for it was really strange. I'd never touched a yoke. I'd never touched farmers. I'd never touched an Atlas stone until the day of the competition. Um, had no idea what tacky was. If I remember right, it was a 90 kilo stone for reps over a
Yeah.
yoke. And the guys are all standing putting tacky on themselves, and I'm like, "What's that you're doing? That looks strange." You're like, "It's for lifting the stone." But just pick it up and just load it. And they're like, "Nah, you need tacky." So somebody kindly gifted me some.
That's good.
Um, so yeah, a lot of learning experiences there, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Like one thing I've got to say about the strongman community, especially at the lower levels, is they are dead friendly.
Oh,
They get
100%.
stuck in with you and stuff like that. There is a really strong community,
hmm
which I tend to find other sports don't have.
hmm
Like, with all due respects to powerlifting, the community there is strong, but I feel like you get taken under your wing a lot better as a group in strongman than you do in powerlifting. Like, with powerlifting, you tend to have, like, when I was doing powerlifting with the in the army, like we had a bunch of guys in the army that used to that done it, and therefore we all enjoyed it as a
hmm
group, and like we had those gangs. Whereas when you're there with strongman, I've always noticed that people are just all like chatting to everyone, and people are floating about
Yeah,
in the groups and stuff, and they're massively different. So
yeah, no, I totally agree with you.
yeah, so my first foray into strongman was um I went over to visit some friends in Germany. I also came from a powerlifting background. So I went over to visit some friends in Germany, and I wandered into the camp when I was in the army, and I caught one of the PTIs that were like, "Oh, we're doing a competition tomorrow." I'm like, "Oh, cool. What's that?" It's like, "We're doing the first ever British Forces Germany strongman competition." I was like, "That's cool." He said, "Do you want to do it?" I was like, "Fucking aye, why not?" And then walked in the next morning and done a competition. I had not touched any of the equipment in my entire life. I'd watched it
hmm
on TV, and I went, fuck it, this looks like fun. And I had a good day. And yeah, that went totally. We had what's the competition of the, so it was deadlift, which I had no issues with. Powerlifting background,
hmm
one thing I knew how to do quite well was deadlifting, but Jesus fucking Christ, what did really kick the arse out of me was I had no idea how to pull for reps. So when you stick reps on top of it, I gassed out like a motherfucker. Um,
That's exactly what I'm going to agree with you.
yeah,
I was the exact same. I remember it was 200 kilos for reps, right?
yeah.
Now, back in powerlifting days, that was probably like my opening weight, so I was used to
Mhm.
pulling it for a single. And then suddenly there's 60 seconds, there's 200 kilos, lock in and just keep pulling for as
Yeah,
much as you can.
yeah. And it's a culture shock that a lot of people aren't prepared for.
Yep.
And then the second was log. So that was wild, to be honest. Like that was totally wild. I'd never handled log till the day. And luckily for a bunch of the lads, most of us had never fucking touched any of the equipment. So we're all kind of like learning on the go and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And like jumping on YouTube quickly to try and get like the best way. Like Alan Throw's social media pages done me a world of good that day because that was I think where I went to get all my resources for that competition day. I was like, how to lift stones, right? Watching it and going, okay, right, I think of an idea now, let's go for it. And then like
Hmm.
how to use yoke. I was like, right, cool. And then the sandbag though, that was the one thing that wasn't too bad because it's just like pick up sandbag and you do a lot of picking up of random things in the army.
Hmm.
So therefore I had a fairly good idea of what I was doing there. But no, so I yeah, just walked off the street pretty much into that competition with zero prep and had
Yep.
a fucking fantastic time and was hooked on it from that point and never looked back. Like as much as I don't compete right now, my personal goals right now are dictated towards weight loss and trying to strip as much weight
Hmm.
as possible and body fat because I want to be healthier and happier in myself. Um, I still love doing strongman as a training method, and I think it's an excellent tool to drive any
Yeah.
form of training, whether it's getting strong or losing weight and stuff like that. But that's how we did it, and probably how we did it incorrectly. So let's talk about how we should do it correctly for a change, because let's face it, nowadays I would say it's never been easier to get into strongman than it is nowadays.
Yep. It's yeah, everywhere you look just now, there's constantly competitions being advertised from
Yeah,
beginner level to right up at a high standard level
yeah,
as well. And it is so easy to get into the sport now. All you need to do is
yeah,
just jump on social media and somebody's advertising one.
definitely. So, right. So, if you're brand new to competing or you're looking at competing or something like that, this is how we would do it. And I'm going to talk about how I would like to do it. And then Chris is going to talk about if there's anything he would change because we'll probably be fairly aligned on this. So,
Hmm.
first things first, strength register is your friend.
Yep.
It's your friend. It's the go-to place where you'll find pretty much every single strongman competition locked in. Strengthregister.co.uk. Go into that, and it has gym locations. It's got coaching locations on it, but also has all the competitions on it. So as a one-stop shop for information on strongman, that's where you should be looking for first, in my opinion, because that's going to get you exactly what you need. All the competition details are on it. A lot of like everyone should put up the events and stuff. You should know everything, and then go from there. Start looking through, find a competition. What I would always recommend to people starting out, if you can, try and plan for at least sort of like 12 to 20 weeks of prep. And I'm
Hmm.
going to explain this in a breakdown. So before you even look at doing a competition, spend 6 weeks learning how to do all the major lifts. Major lifts are log, deadlift, yoke, farmers, sandbag, stones. Because when it comes to competition, especially at grassroots level, those are going to be the ones that you're going to be probably doing. You may do axle instead of deadlift, or you might do axle clean and press instead of log. So I'd also throw axle in there as well. And but what you're doing at that, but if you can get grassroots and a good grip on those in the foundation phase of your training, you're going to do really well. From there, you look for a competition. So this is our 20-week window. The first six weeks to 8 weeks is going to be focusing on technique, getting those things tied down, getting confident with those lifts. We then find a competition, hopefully about 3 months out, 12 weeks out is what I would recommend for your first competition to give yourself plenty of time to train. Then we have to decide how you're going to approach this training phase. So, do you have access to the kit all the time? Yes or no? If it's yes, brilliant. Great. Find the competition lifts, put one on each day of your training, and put two on your last day training. So, say you put log on the first day, deadlift on the second, yoke on the third, sandbags and stones on day four. So, if you're doing 4 days a week training, do that. If you're doing 3 days a week training, split them across the 3 days if you have access to all the equipment. There's a reason for this, and we'll explain further on. And then what we do, we spend 4 weeks doing that. Get good at the competition that you are going to do, events you're going to do separately before you bring them together. Now, if you don't have access to all the kit all the time, then this is where things have to change. What you have to do is plan your programming around the lifts that you can do in certain places. For example, say you have deadlift and it's on an axle bar. Your gym doesn't have an axle bar. That's fine. Get yourself some fat grips. Work on fat grips. Use them to help prep you in the gym. That'll give you one thing off of it. If you're doing farmers holds for time and depending on the weight, you can at least try and get some bars, dumbbells on either side, suitcase farmer deadlifts. And you just pick up and hold the bars. Yes, they're really long. They'll throw you out. They're quite different, but just gives you an idea of what to experience when you're getting ready for prep. And then what you would do is all the stuff that you physically have to do together, I'd probably put it into a single day. So you're only spending one day in a strongman gym. Now, if you, it's not an ideal way. Like, ideally, if I was going to be suggesting it, like priorities wise, I think 2 days in a strongman facility and 2 days in a regular gym is probably the best way forward. But we work around your needs when it comes to this kind of thing. So what we do is for the first 4 weeks of comp prep, they're all split up. They're all
Mhm.
separate on different days if you can. After those first, we're into our 8 week window at this point. What I do at this point is pop a deload week in to prep your to give your body a little bit of a break and rest. And then we're going to be going into the 7 week training cycle on the run up to competition. What we do is every second week we add another lift the um to the last day. So your last day has two lifts on it already. Then 7 weeks out has three lifts on it. 4 weeks out there's 5 weeks out there's four lifts on it. 3 weeks out it has all five lifts on it. That gives you 3 weeks of time of getting ready to train all events on a single day and fucking train all events on a single day. One of the biggest things that people fuck up at is they don't get used to having to compete, do all five lifts on the same day. And do not waste your time in those days. Give yourself a 3 hour window to get in, get done, and get out. Because see, nowadays, competitions are 3 hours. They can be less.
Mhm.
Like, I've seen competitions done in 2.5 hours. The record in Anvil was 94 minutes for a competition. That was funny because Justin turned up going, "Oh, what event are we on?" I'm like, "We're just getting ready to hand out the trophies."
I remember that. I
Yeah,
remember that.
like 94 minutes we got that competition done in.
Mhm.
And we don't, like, as organizers and helpers, we don't want to be about all day. We don't want lifters to be about all day because lifters being about all day just risks injuries. Like, how long was your first competition?
Oh, probably 3 hours, maybe, I
Well, that's
reckon.
actually not too bad. My
Probably
first competition was
3 hours.
5 or 6.
Right.
So it was just too long. And there's certain, like, at national level competitions, I get it because the amount of people potentially at them, totally
Hmm.
understandable. But for grassroots level competitions, if you're there any more than 4 or 5 hours, we need to start getting worried because the risk of injury is high, etc., etc., etc. The best way I actually saw this run was a competition that Nat did, which they had a plan. So all the competitors were on the same day. But
Hmm.
what they did was they had from 9 till 1 was two categories. From 1 till 4, there was two categories, and then from 4 till 7, those two
That
categories.
is, yeah,
So that worked really well in that situation.
that's how the Irish qualifier was ran yesterday
Yeah.
for natural strongman. Because it was held in Matty's gym, it's not a big facility. You physically can't have that amount of people in there trying to compete at one time. So it was staggered throughout the day, different time slots for
And I
different
think that's a
categories.
fantastic way for like athletes to get prepped, especially because we have a 24-hour weighing rule in strongman. So in that aspect, you're not having to worry about like
Hmm.
cutting up to 2 hours before weigh-ins and stuff like that. You can get weighed in the day before and then you're good to go. So
Hmm.
that's it. So yeah, so we're 3 weeks out right now. Back on topic, we're 3 weeks out. You're training all five lifts on the same day. We should be trying to get pretty much close. That gives us at least 3 sessions. So your 3 week, your 2 week, and then your 1 week out sessions to actually get up to maximal lifts. And what I would normally do is plan sort of 90% for 3 weeks out, 95% for 2 weeks out, 100% for 1 week out. Now we're 7 days out from competition. So at this point, what we want to be doing is tapering off. So we deload at this point, we taper off, we drop back to 2 sessions Monday, Tuesday, total body both days, and then we spend lots of time relaxing and recovering. Make sure you're keeping your steps and daily activity nice and high so we don't get the phantom pains, and then we run into the competitions. If it's a particularly heavy competition, then what I would recommend is you probably try and get your heaviest session 2 weeks out from comp. And then the last session is just a light run through of all the events together. And then we go from there. And then you still deload, taper off that week, and then deload. Always make sure that when you run up to your heaviest last session, taper the training week
Hmm.
so you can put all your focus into the actual events day. Because at the end of the day, that's what you want to do. Like, do not keep them split because it's the quickest way you'll see yourself fail because you're physically not ready for it. Like I've watched athletes like fry out. I worked with someone who, no matter how many times I told them to prep everything on the same day, didn't bother ours. She got 3 events into it, and then by that point, she was thinking about what she was wanting for Chinese from the Chinese at the end of the session. So like the event was fucked. The
Hmm.
event was fucked long before it, and I told her she came to me like having already signed up to the competition she had in mind. And I was like, "Pfft." I'm like, you're gonna have to work hard, and she didn't. And no amount of pushing on my end or telling her. I even gave her free access to the gym. I paid her membership to the gym that I owned so she could come in and train whenever she wanted to just so she could get in. And I never saw her up to like a week or two before the end of the competition. And she was complaining that she was really struggling getting all the events done. And that's because she hadn't prepped. But if you don't do it, it's your loss. Like your coach is there to help you, but we can lead horses to water. We can't make them drink. You can drown the fuckers though, but we can't make them drink. All right, Chris, is there anything you would change?
S- One thing that I would, this is what I done as well,
Yeah.
with my first competition after hearing Laurie and Callum talk about it, was that I picked a competition based around events I thought I was going to enjoy. It was just to dip my toes in the water and see if I was going to enjoy the sport. I mean, I looked at some of them that had like throw bags. They were relatively new at the time when I first
Yes. Yeah.
started. Sandbags as well, had no access to them, and I thought, nah, like I don't fancy that. So I found one, as you said, it was the bread and butter events. It was log, it was deadlift, it was farmers, it was yoke, it was stone.
Hmm.
Um, and I thought, you know what, that's the base events. It'll be good to get into it and try it. Um,
Yeah.
so I would say pick if you've got a lifting background, powerlifting, bodybuilding, whatever, and you're starting to try strongman, pick events that you think you're going to like.
Hmm.
That would be my advice.
Yeah. One thing to add on to that is something to avoid, in my opinion, in beginner competitions is any one arm work. So minimize the chance of one arm work if you can.
Hmm.
So things like circus dumbbell, monster dumbbell, not for the fact that there's any issues with them, because as soon as you get past your first couple of competitions, I think they're absolutely fine.
Hmm.
But they're such a complicated movement to master, and the risk to reward ratio can be quite high. Like there's quite a lot of risk potentially
Hmm.
with it. So if you're not used to them, even though I have plenty of time to practice, things could potentially go wrong. I
Yep.
think in my head of Connor, who competed with us, who dislocated his shoulder.
I remember that. I
Yeah,
remember that well.
Um, yeah, that's what ticks in my mind,
Hmm.
and it's in that situation, it was something that drove me to say after that I was like, we're not doing it anymore
Yeah,
when arm work in competitions because
the risk
that
to
was
reward.
yeah, it's too high. It's a bit
Hmm.
too high in my opinion. But I would always stick with them. But then again, like the other thing is there's some fucking fun events out there. Like
Yeah.
Conan's Wheel. I
Hmm.
fucking love Conan's Wheel. And it's not a particularly hard one to be able to train for. All you need is a bar and get used to that horrible sensation of it cutting into your biceps. But like you have the ability to train certain events around things, and then that's the other thing is take your time to think. So if you don't have access to certain bits of kit, for example, a Conan's wheel, but you really want to do that competition, an axle bar, how doing axle bar marches
Hmm.
will give you an idea. Zercher squat style axle marches will give you an idea of what it's like to do that event. Like there's plenty of ways to work around things. Nat had power stairs in a competition that she was prepping for, so she got herself a duck walk handle
Yep.
off of strength shop, and then she was just practicing with some plyo boxes just to
Hmm.
practice the up and down and jump up and down. So she'd still have practice that. Like there's ways to work around to actually make this work. You just have to find something that works for you. Like approach it with a logical head, and
Hmm.
you will do fairly well in these situations. But yeah, so anything else? Anything else you'd add
I
onto
do. I
that?
have another 2 points, right?
Okay,
I
cool.
think one. I think one will trigger you, and I
Okay,
think, and I think one you might not agree with, right?
okay, right, cool.
So, so my one that's going to trigger you is that pick a fucking category that suits your strength ability. Just because it's your first competition doesn't mean you need to do a beginner category.
I 100% agree with this one. Like
I thought that
a
would get you.
fucking
Yeah,
100%
there we
agree with
go.
this one because Jesus fucking Christ, this fucking does my tits in. This he set me off. Right, you bunch of fuckers. See if you're going trophy fucking hunting, get yourself in the fucking bin. You're there to have fun, you're there to learn, and more importantly than anything else, you're there to fucking challenge yourself. I can see him laughing. He knows he set me off, the fucking prick.
I
But
knew that
yeah.
would trigger you.
I worked with a lad, Big Chris. Big Chris is a lovely, lovely lad. I have a lot of time for Big Chris. Big Chris was like, I'm going to sign up to this no, this beginner, your first timers. I was like, are you fuck? Are you fuck? Because you're already pulling plus the weight of the competition. Get your arse into that fucking novice category where there's an actual challenge. Like, I'm all for doing that. Just like if you've competed at an inters competition, as a say, I had guys compete at inters competitions in weighted categories. They then messaged me going, I would like to compete at your open weight novice competition because I'm an under 90 athlete and that competition's right up my alley. I didn't have an issue with that because they were challenging themselves. Like
Hmm.
they were pushing their strength envelope. They were pushing themselves to get better. But what I did have an issue was when kids turned up trying to fucking just gather trophies, or the fucking best ones were the ones that were like, haven't you competed at world level in powerlifting? Yes. Why the fuck are you doing a beginners competition in strongman?
Hmm.
Like shit like that does my fucking boxing. Like if you've been on stage, you've been on platform, you're not fucking beginner. You're definitely not first timer. Just because like, oh, it's my first time competing in strongman. Get to fuck. Just find something that challenges you and
Hmm.
go and do it. If your fucking coach is putting you into competitions because they want you to win so they can look more impressive and you are going to blow through that competition, your coach is fucking shit. I'm not going to lie to you. I would rather any of my clients come last, enjoy themselves, and actually challenge. And this is
Yeah,
myself as well. I'd rather come fucking dead last in a stacked fucking event than go into something that I was well past the skill level
yeah.
for. So
Just to touch on something you said there, like if you've competed before, you're not a beginner. I had done powerlifting. I'd done 2 comps before I jumped into strongman, but the
mhm.
weights of that beginner comp. It was a 200 kilo deadlift for reps, right? And it was an 80 kilo log for
Mhm.
reps. I got 2 reps on the log because my overhead was shit. Yes, I could bench well, but I
Mhm.
couldn't overhead press. Hence why I jumped into that category because I knew even though it was a beginner's category and I had competed in powerlifting, it was still going to challenge me.
Yeah, and
It's
that's the thing.
it's all
Like,
about the challenge.
yeah, as long as it challenges you and actually forces you to work hard and push yourself to it,
Hmm.
I'm all for it. But if you go around fucking chasing like novice trophies and fucking first timer beginner trophies, I'm just like that going, it's fucking sad. Mainly because no one gives a fuck. No one actually cares. No one cares how many fucking novice trophies you have on your fucking board.
I knew that would
It,
trigger you. I knew this would trigger you.
It's because you've seen my fucking plan, and one of the things is like trophy chasing.
I know, that's
Like,
true.
it's one of
That's
those
true.
things that pop up. All right, so what's the other topic?
Right, my second one is just because you sit at maybe 93 kilos or that, right? For your first competition, it doesn't need to be a weight class competition. Don't murder yourself trying to cut weight to get into a weight category. Go and do a beginner, a novice, or an inter that's open weight.
I
That's
agree.
right. Okay. I thought you would disagree with that.
No, I totally agree
I actually thought you would disagree with that one.
because, and so this, when it comes to powerlifting and strongman, I am pro not fucking bothering about anything weight related for your
Hmm.
first competition. Doesn't matter. Don't bother with it because most of these competitions don't have weight categories anyway. Let's
Hmm.
be perfectly honest. See, at novice level strongman, very few competitions have actual weight categories. So what like that's the first thing. The other thing is I'll just water cut down. You do not know enough about the competition to understand how it affects you. You should go to a competition first,
Hmm.
train, do it, enjoy it, find out how your body performs before you start manipulating weight. Also, it's your first competition. You're there to learn. Your
Hmm.
first competition is always a learning experience. You should be learning how the day works, where you struggle, how to keep your nutrition nice and high, etc., etc., etc. So these are the things, making sure you're controlling your water intake, you're learning all this sort of stuff. So the next competition you go to, you can be better.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, as a general rule of thumb with my clients, we always try and aim to place one or two places higher than we did in the last competition that we do.
Hmm.
So if you came 14th in the first competition you did, cool, we want to be coming maybe 13th to 11th in the next competition, etc. So we're always trying to climb the ranks. We're always trying to challenge ourselves, make ourselves better. But I totally agree. I wouldn't bother with a water cut or weight manipulation unless there is an unless to the situation. Because the weight, the open weight category, if it's an open novices or open first timers, is so far out your range that you're just not going to make it.
Hmm.
In that situation, if 2 or 3 kilos, and I mean 2 or 3 kilos, would be the difference between you being able to do something you can do and something you would completely struggle at, I would probably say maybe look at weight loss. But at that point, I would be planning that into the first 6 to 8 weeks of your comp
Hmm.
prep. So,
Yep.
like, while you're learning the skills, that's the time you want to shift that weight down. You don't want to leave it for water cutting or weight manipulation. Get that weight off at the very start of the competition. Like for yourself, Chris. Now, this the prime example here is Chris, who originally planned potentially this year was to compete in the under 90s, but we decided to focus on other things this year.
Yep.
But what we've done for since sort of like September, October last year has been gradually pulling your weight down to from 107.5 down to 95. So then when we were in comp prep, the idea was to shift 1 or 2 kilos more down to 93. And
Hmm.
then at that point, we were going to water manipulate the rest.
Yep.
That was the plan. Now, that's been done, that's been planned last year into this year in the idea of competing at the under 90s. Now, change of plans dictate that we're focusing more on aesthetics goal because you're quite liking that process. Jobs are good.
Yep.
But for anyone who's doing a first timers competition where the weights in the opens category may be too far out of reach, which is totally fine. Maybe look at another competition, but if you're dead set on those events because you really like those events, and you've got like maybe 2, 3 kilos to lose, then lose them in the first 6 to 8 weeks and then run the competition from there. Like if you and then go from there. But what I would say, if you've got more than 2 or 3 kilos to lose, go try and find another competition because you will find another competition with similar lifts
Hmm.
that's more in your wheelhouse. Like I would not recommend trying to cut weight unless unless you have no other option or something like that. But in that sort of situation, I agree with you. If you can just go into a category that's got no weight limit, just do it because why stress with trying to worry about cutting weight when you've already got the stress of doing your first competition?
Exactly. Spot on.
Mhm. So I think we'll wrap up this section here and we'll move on to the coaching section next. Okay, troops, we are back. Let's talk about the coaching section today. So we are going to talk about why you fuckers all think accessories is a dirty word. Because it fucking ain't. Right, Chris, what do you think of accessory work?
I love accessory work. Genuinely, it is the favorite part of my session. See, once all the heavy work's out the way and you're super set and stuff, getting blood forced into the muscles, I love it. I think it's honestly the favorite bit of my session. I really, really
And yeah,
enjoy it.
and I think it is incredibly important to do. I think some ways it's more important than your core lifts. I'm going to explain why now. So, from my opinion, we approach it from two ways. Your accessories come in two different types of accessory. Your accessory to the lift you're doing, and an accessory to injury prevention. Those are two ways to look at it. And I think the
Hmm.
reason why most people don't do accessories is because of them being known as accessories. And I think that's the problem because they think, oh, this is an optional extra. Accessories is like, oh, something else. When this is why with us, we don't call them accessories, they're just called lifts. Because your bicep curl is just as important as your log clean. Because your bicep curl, when done correctly, is going to prevent your bicep from tearing. So therefore, it's going to reduce the risk of injury. Therefore, it's just as important as making sure you're doing your big lifts and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, when it comes to accessories, first things first is fucking kill this term accessories. This term accessories needs to die. It's a fucking shit carryover from sports that don't prioritize things just because they aren't the core lifts. Like your core lifts and competitions, powerlifting, squat, bench, deadlift, Olympic lifting, clean and jerk and snatch, strongman, all the core sort of lifts. These are all the base things. And they're like, oh, this is our accessory work. It's not. It's work that's designed to support and benefit your progress. It should not be considered accessory work. It should not be considered optional extras because whenever I think of accessories, I think of oh, they are not something that's essential to progress, whereas all these lifts are essential to progress.
Hmm.
If you are shit at cleans on a log, your accessory work is log cleans. But that's just as important to the core lift as doing the full lift itself. You're not going to get any better at log cleans if you're fucking avoiding doing cleans. Like the amount of people got log cleaner press in the program and they just do one up the chest. They do the lots of reps. Oh, I got my reps done. No, you didn't. You got one clean done in 5 press. I didn't say log press. I
Hmm.
said log clean and press. And this is the thing, you have to get around that idea of stop thinking of these as optional extras. They are priorities. They're where we find the gaps in your strength profile and we plug them. We plug them with these exercises. Whether that, for example, in powerlifting is your inability to hit depth or your confidence in the hole, pause squats. If you've got issues with weight off your chest and bench, bull bar, pause bench. If you are struggling to initiate pull on deadlifts, deficits. all these kind of things. All these things are designed to make your core lift better, and they should be treated just as important, if not more important, because you know what these lifts normally are the things you're shit at. See, when you're shit at something, you should probably be doing twice as much. The next thing we use accessories for is to build muscle tissue. So these lifts are there to help develop muscle tissue, develop strength in an isolated fashion. Because if we can get one group of muscle stronger, the entire package becomes stronger. So why wouldn't you be actually focusing on lifts that isolate muscles and make them stronger? Because as much as a push press does get more weight up, you'll eventually hit a ceiling with push press if you're not actually training shoulder press. So if you're not actually focusing on getting the shoulders strong in isolation, they're not going to carry over to compound movements like push press and stuff like that. So we should always prioritize making sure that we are getting all these exercises done because they're either in a competition environment, they're there to either make your core lift stronger or reduce the risk of injury. Bicep curls, tricep extensions, rear delts, stuff like that, lat pull down, because where the biggest injury sites when it comes to strongman and powerlifting, biceps, hamstrings, quads, lats. These are all things, if you hear of something going, you almost always hear of a bicep, a hamstring first. Those are probably the two most common ones you hear. After that, it's quad and lat tends to be the ones that go after. And then for powerlifting, pec muscles go as well. But if you're not actually practicing, you're not getting that muscle tissue stronger, more flexible, and working it through its full range of motion, the risk of injury just creeps up and up and up. So
Hmm.
where do you put your priority in sort of like accessory, or why do you find it so important to you other than just like the pump and that feeling? Like one thing we can say for yourself, Chris, is you've never torn a muscle. Touch wood.
Never, never. And I always remember the very, very first thing I said to you, Craig, why have I got so many reps and sets of bicep curls? And you turned around to me and said, I tore my bicep on a yoke and I don't want you doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's and
Like,
that's always stuck with me. And that was right for the
mhm,
start when we first started training
yeah.
and
So
coaching.
that that was a freak accident. But I do think that if I put more focus, in fact, I, my coach at the time had actually put more focus into my rehab work, I don't think that would have happened.
Hmm.
Because my coach at the time, look, he'd even send me a program. Told me he sent me a program. I checked, nothing had ever arrived. Asked multiple times, never got back to me. It's a fucking shit coach. Like that very much solidified my sort of opinion on how I wanted my coaching service to not be
Hmm.
by having such a shit experience with a coach. But there was no work, no prep, no focus on taking care of things. It was a load of fucking chest work because I was doing powerlifting as well. And I was noticing that I was starting to develop a bit of a hunch and kyphotic curves were starting to come in. My chest was always tight
Hmm.
and my biceps were fucking neglected like fucking your average fucking stepchild in a rich person in a rich family. Jesus fucking Christ. Like I think Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone had more fucking love than my biceps did. Um in the first half of that fucking movie. R.I.P. to the woman who played his mum. That's a fucking shame
I
she's
know.
passed away.
Sad. Sad.
But yeah, so yeah, I do think like I put accessory work, I put like supporting work in there because I didn't want people to get injured. I
Hmm.
do not want people to go through what I've gone through. Like a pull of a muscle is something you can come back from. A detached bicep is a pain. Now,
Hmm.
I fucking tore my other bicep walking the dog, which is fucking embarrassing to say, but it never happens on cool shit. It almost always happens doing weird, wonderful shit. And that took much longer to recover from because the muscle was torn rather than a detachment. But again,
Yep.
how have I rehabbed that? I have done fucking thousands of bicep curls,
Hmm.
and now I don't have any more pain in them. And I will continue to progress and get it stronger because I do not want it to be a compromised element. So if I ever get back into competing in strongman, which after my weight loss I intend to, is I want to be making sure that I'm in a position where any injuries I have been rehabbed enough that they do not affect it. Now, I think a fantastic person to look at, and I watched his entire journey on social media, was Chris Harper on his prep when he, from surgery to competing.
Yep.
Like, that was really impressive to watch. And seeing all the rehab work that he was doing in the background to make
Hmm.
sure that he could actually compete at that level after bicep surgery was unreal. Like the amount of work he put in and stuff like that to make sure he was ready. But that's what you have to do. Like, prioritize health and well-being and recovery and minimum
Hmm.
and reducing risk management as much as possible. The more risk you can reduce, shut up, dear. The more risk you can reduce, the more likely you are to get through things pain-free. And at the end of the day, that's the good thing. I, again, touch wood when I say this. Um, I don't think any of my clients have suffered a catastrophic injury while they've been working with me at the competition because we've had their muscle tissue prep for it.
Hmm.
And I want that to fucking continue. I do not want to see things happen. I've
Nah.
seen friends have fucking torn hamstrings, and I then speak to them and then talk me through your training plan. Or we do this, and we do leg press or leg curl, or we don't do any supporting work. I'm like, well, I know why it's fucking going then because the muscle is so tight that
Hmm.
it's fucked. So yeah,
Yeah.
essentially, if you're going to be like, take fucking accessory work more important. Stop calling it accessory work. If you're someone who thinks that things aren't important, fucking kill the fact that kill the name accessory from your dictionary and just call it supporting lifts.
Hmm.
Because you're much more likely to stick to something called supporting lifts because they're there to support you than you are to stick to something that you
I
think is optional.
think I think as an athlete and as a client of yours, I think for me, there's I'm not going to use the term accessories here. There's three different types of support and lifts, right? You've got injury prevention, number one.
Yeah,
You've got number two, pump, force blood in, right?
yeah,
Cable flies, whatever. And the third one, and I can see this when I'm in prep, as soon as you send me a program and look at it, it's supporting exercises
yeah,
for the events that are coming up. Example, sandbags and stones. Guarantee I'll see pendlay rows in there and I'll see belt squats in there to
yeah,
help with power drive from the hips
yeah.
and crosses over to log cleans as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah, so for people who are interested, how I break down accessory work, supporting lifts. I prefer supporting lifts as well. I There's three tiers of supporting lift when it comes to. So you've got tier one, which is your sort of like direct. So you've got your core lift. I'm going to use squat just for ease of reference. Yeah. So you got your primary accessories, which is pause squat, stuff like that, tempo squat, etc. Squat, and then those sort of things. So they're very much like the movement pattern. So if we're taking log clean and press, for example, your accessory work is log cleans, log pauses, like pause push press, etc., stuff like that. So all those kind of lifts. Then you've got your secondary exercises, which are the things designed to make the overall system slightly better. So that'd be things like Viper press for getting
Hmm.
you ready for conditioning, or would be potentially sort of like technical drills that would work in that sort of way, such as let's take log for example. You put me on the spot here. No, that I actually have to think about. I would actually put log cleans as a secondary rather than a primary lift. So
Hmm.
your primary supporting lifts would be like paused push press and stuff like that. And then your secondary work may be like, for example, Viper press, log cleans, um, log press, strict log press, etc., etc., etc. Then your tertiary ones, which is your third running supporting lifts, would be things that are similar, but probably don't include the movement, but aid the overall strength building profile. So log incline press for
Hmm.
log. belt squat for stones, pendlay row for stones and sandbags, etc., etc., etc. So like we break everything down into three phases, and what we try and do
hmm
is the third phase is going to plug strength gaps. The second phase and the first phase are designed to get you better at the lifts, and then the
Yep.
second phase is designed to get you better at the weak points. After that, you then have lifts that are designed to get you either develop muscle mass or get you stronger. That's what you refer to as your pump work. So
Yep.
like we're there trying to get more blood into it to stimulate growth because bigger muscle groups, bigger muscles have more motor units. More motor units means they're going to move quicker and they're going to get stronger as you go train through a strength phase. So having more muscle tissue or having more motor units is handy, and that has to be built through progressive overload. And so that's how we kind of break down sort of lifting patterns in Anvil to work with that sort of stuff. So yeah, at the end of the day, accessories must be done. Stop calling them accessories. Start switching over to supporting lifts or any sort of terminology that you actually think that you will prioritize as something that's just important, because it's weird. We only find accessories only exist, I think, in powerlifting, strongman, and weightlifting. Don't have any accessory work in bodybuilding.
hmm
Bodybuilders understand that every single movement is just as important as the other one because they are getting they are getting reviewed on the entirety of their body. So they have, I don't think bodybuilders call their support work accessory work, just called work. And I think that's what
hmm
we should all probably take a page out of the bodybuilders book is we don't have accessories. We just have work that we need to get done. We have exercises that we need to complete to make us better athletes, stronger
And I
athletes,
think
people who do better.
And I think a good point to follow on from that is as well is that bodybuilders treat that with the same intensity. Treat your
Yes.
accessories with the same intensity and purpose as you do your main lift. How many
Oh, a
times do you see
hundred
somebody
percent.
will rip the arse out of deadlift and then go and do the accessory work and drop the weight or half arse it because they
Mhm.
don't want to do it?
Yeah,
Treat it
because
with the
it's
same
fucking hard.
intensity. I know.
Yeah. And this like one of the big issues I tend to find with all these people is like they're just not used to the isolated pain.
hmm
Like I don't like that. My quads burn. Good. It's what's
hmm
supposed to be doing. It's supposed to be making your quads hurt. I've got jelly legs after that, but I don't have jelly legs after, for example, like I don't have jelly legs after squat, but I have jelly legs after leg
Walking
extension,
lunges.
yeah, or walking lunges, yeah, like yeah, because that's what I want that to happen. That's the goal because I need to make those muscle groups stronger. So if they're stronger in isolation, when you bring them into training them as in compound activities, they will support and get the overall lift stronger.
hmm
And the other thing, like I say this, supporting lifts, strongmen, start fucking squatting. Start squatting. If you don't squat, fucking squat because squatting is probably one of the most important things as a strong man or strong woman that you are not doing. It's probably leaving so much fucking cash on the table that you should be fucking chasing up on. Now, do not have to use a bar. You can use a camber bar, you can use a safety squat bar, front squat. There's lots of things you can do, but just get squatting because the amount of strongmen, they're like, oh, I don't need to squat. Yes, you do, because stronger quads help everything, and having the ability to control weight makes a huge difference in my books. Like from front squats helping you with things like sandbag loading and stone loading, etc., to safety bar squats just to get your body used to develop overall muscle development in,
hmm
in in groups and stuff like that. You might come up in a competition where you actually have to squat. Fucking, I know.
I've had
There's
it.
squat events.
I've
There's
had it.
squat events in the competition, so why shouldn't you be including squats in as a supporting exercise? Because they'll creep up sooner or later. And the other thing is initiating pulls off the floor starts with your quads and deadlifting. As much as you get hamstring, glute, and back activation in deadlifts, your quads play a huge part in initiating the pull off the floor. So you want to make sure your quads are strong to support that. So anything else you'd like to add on this topic?
Um, Nah, I think that's me. Just the intensity. Like I see it in the gym all the time. Guys just going to their supporting lifts and just taking it easy. Nah, put the same intensity in as what you've just
Mhm.
done with your main compound and reap the benefits from it. And just touching on your squat thing there as well. We've worked together for 7 or 8 years. I cannot think of a single program where I've not had some form of squat in it, whether that
Exactly.
be safety bar front, back,
Mhm.
um, box squats, anything like that.
Yeah.
We've always had some form of squat in there.
And
Always.
ironically enough, you went from doing your second competition with me all the way up to your most recent competition, which was seventh or fifth,
Seventh.
seventh and under in officials, Scotland's
Yeah.
strongest man under 105s.
Hmm.
It works.
It does
It
work.
works. And yeah, I would agree. Intensity is key. And everyone loves to work hard on the things that they like doing, but people don't like to work hard on the things they don't.
Hmm.
Start getting used to working hard on the things you don't like, whether that is your supporting work that you struggle with in lifts or cardio.
But I think what you've just said there is a nice segue back to the previous topic. That comes with experience as well.
Yeah,
Once you've got your first strongman competition out the way and you've got the bug for it, you'll see how much that these support and lifts are going to benefit you.
yeah,
Because I can
definitely.
guarantee you'll go into that first competition and you'll get your arse handed to you and you'll want to be like the people that have beaten you. And that's how you get better is by doing
Mhm.
this work.
Yeah, exactly. Like supporting lifts cannot be understated at how important they are. Nip the accessory word in the bud. I think accessories is actually probably part of the reason why people don't bother doing them to the same intensity because accessories are optional.
Hmm.
You don't have to buy an accessory when you go to a shop. You choose an accessory, whereas in training to get you stronger, your supporting lifts, aka your accessories, are just as important, if not more important, than your core lifts, because without them, you're not going to get stronger. So, on that point, I think we will wrap up today's podcast. Again, thank you very much for listening, troops. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you can like, comment, and subscribe down below, that would be fantastic. If you need to talk to us, as always, you can reach out to us on Instagram or stick it
Hmm.
in the comments and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Till then, thanks for listening to us. Hope you have a good night and enjoy. Catch you later.
Thank you.